Hello, everybody. Today is Friday, June 26th. This is the AWS Cloud Provider meeting, bi-weekly meeting. I am your moderator, facilitator, Justin Sanbobra. I work at Google. A reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be put on the internet, so just be mindful of code of conduct. I am pasting a link in the chat to our agenda, which is currently relatively empty, so please do feel free to add your name or any items you want to get to on that, and we'll be sure to do that. Otherwise, I think the broad plan is to do a demo from Nadir and then go through some issue triage. If there's nothing else, then why don't we hand the floor over to Nadir?
Hi, hello, hi. So I was supposed to demo Class API AWS, but done that a few times now in previous. So one of them repeat over old material. For one of the things we've been talking about is ways to test the external provider and maybe using Cluster API to test that. So we were having conformance errors in the Cluster API Provider AWS repos. So I started rewriting some of that conformance to use a new test framework that was developed by mainly Fabrizio into Cluster Lifecycle. And it wraps a lot of the sort of things, the most common sort of test scenarios. And I sort of extended that to also handle kube tests. So I'll just go through how that works briefly and then show you what the output is. And we can, I'm going to move this to Cluster API properly. So it's reusable by the other providers. But the plan is like we could start using this to test CSI, CPI, and it just wraps sort of kube test and Jinko. So it is nested Jinko, but it works mostly. Oh, can you let me share screen?
Sorry about that. Just 1 second. Let's see. I will make you a co-host. Yes, I do. You should be a co-host, so I think you should share screen. Is that true?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, so in our Class API repo, we have a test, and it's sitting in this E2E new. First of all, the main thing you do is you provide a configuration file, and this says what images are going to be used to bring up the cluster. So we're going to use Cluster API 036. For the purposes of testing Cluster API Provider AWS, we actually generate an image and then inject it. So the way the test framework works is it brings up a kind cluster, injects images into that kind cluster. So if you've got any local images that you haven't really pushed to an external repo, you can sort of rewrite them on the fly. So that's useful for when you're just making changes code, you just want to see what the impact is, then the test framework can load them in. It does string replacements on the manifest for the deployments. So we turn off the leader election just to save a bit of time, change the metrics so it's globally readable, so you don't need to use the RBAC proxy. And then there are a bunch of variables. Some of these are hacks right now because of bugs in Cluster API. And the way that works is each provider provides templates, and the templates basically allow you to do string substitution in them. So this defines what the cluster is going to basically look like. And then we add some extra variables in the test suite to say how many machines it's going to use. So we're going to use 5 machines. This bit here is saying we're going to start with a 118 to AWS AMI. And we also add some of the scripts, the injection that's been used to inject the latest CI release of Kubernetes. So that's where it looks up the latest CI artifacts and then downloads from the Google bucket, that version, and make sure it's present before Cluster API brings up the cluster, which is using kubeadm underneath. And in terms of the test suite itself, we have some glue in the Cluster API repo that sort of brings up the AWS account. So we check out an account from sig-aws, which is the test info bits that hands out AWS accounts. There's utilities to run up the CloudFormation templates that you need to use that support the cloud provider integration and Cluster API. We've added some stuff. We need some changes in infrastructure, but what we have right now is the ability to use AWS Session Manager to open up a shell on the machines and run arbitrary commands that we can output to files. So just as a starter, we've just got like getting a kernel log, system D logs, and like what is the version of containerd. It executes pretty quickly. It's about 3 seconds per machine, and we just have that running every minute. So just getting that all the time. And then to actually do the test itself, we have a function in the test framework which allows you to apply a manifest, and that will bring up the cluster. That essentially then just waits for that cluster to be ready. It installs the CNI, which you can swap out as well. You can say where that CNI path, where that manifest should be, that gets loaded in. You can instruct it how long you're going to wait for the cluster to come up. And then finally, we can't remember what done it. Oh yes, this is the bit that I'm going to put into Cluster APIs. This kube test framework. So you start off by just giving it a new configuration. It will look up, add stuff to the command line flags as well for your test for Jinko, and then one of the things that you pass in is the kube test configuration. So kube test will accept the YAML files. We just pass that in as well. So you can use different configurations if you want to do different bits of testing. And then it's essentially just a wrapper around it. It constructs the command line to run kube test. Creates a report directory. In terms of what you get back, you get this artifacts directory. In it, you have all of the controller logs from Cluster API, metrics from them. You get the logs for each command that was run on every EC2 instance. This is where, if you have SSM Session Manager support on your account, if it doesn't, it's just not going to appear. It will write an error file, and that's currently what's happening in Prow at the moment. List of all the resources on the kind cluster, and the CloudFormation template that was applied, the E2E config that was created. So one of the things that the kube test bit does is it, if you specify to use the CI artifacts, it actually modifies all these Kubernetes versions as well. And then finally just moves the kube test output into the right place for Prow to pick it up and send to test grid. So I'm hoping that's going to be an easier way to start testing things. Using Cluster API, and we can use it elsewhere in the Kubernetes project. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show.
Super cool. Thank you, Nadir. I don't know if anyone else has some questions. If not, I have a bunch of questions. I'll kick us off. How about that? Are there any? So first of all, like, this looks great. Where is this code going today, and where is it going to go? Type thing.
It's currently an open PR in Cluster API Provider AWS, and you'll be able to consume it directly from there, and then going to make a more, going to move the kube test wrapper to the cluster API repo itself. So it's usable by Azure and everyone else.
Very cool. The other question I had is, are you doing any testing other than the like Kubernetes E2E testing? Like, have you figured out a way, this is what I keep struggling with, have you figured out a way to run your own tests? Like, it's very difficult to, or it's not even easy to do within kubetest, but maybe because of the way you're wrapping things, you have a way to do so.
We do already not using the test. So in our old tests right now, we do things like create too many VPCs and then test the behavior. What happens? How does Kappa respond? Does it error report? Does it do errors correctly? So we do have a bunch of tests around that as well. And it's just a matter of constructing. You can get the test framework can give you a proxy to the created cluster, and so that will give you a client set for you to go and do. It will give you a kube config essentially. So it gives you the kube config of the cluster that's created, and then you can do whatever you like, and you can use the AWS API separately within your test to test other bits and pieces. So yeah, that's the idea.
Awesome. I'll have to take a look at how you did that. That's great. Thank you. I don't know if anyone else had any other questions, feedback, just rounds of applause. All right. Well, thank you. Awesome. Thank you, Nadir. That was. Oh, hey, Nick. I didn't see you there. Switch views. All right. Well, thank you, Nadir. Let's see if we have anything else on the agenda. Doesn't look like anyone has added anything to the agenda. So what I propose we do is we go through a little bit of the backlog of what has happened over the last 2 weeks and any issues that are sort of on the back burner. I guess we could look at previous issues as well, or previous topics, but let's see how we're doing. I will share what I hope is a window, otherwise it will make a mess of everyone's screens. Let's see. Okay, let's see if this is the right one. Am I sharing a GitHub issues view, which is scrolling? Yes, yes, good. All right. So I thought we could start with our normal, like looking for issues raised in the past. I'm not sure we did this 2 weeks ago, so we should do like any issues like raised in the last 28 days that are potentially AWS. And so all I've done is just do the broadest possible search, which is AWS, and then we can go through and make sure that they are tagged appropriately. This one looks like it might be AWS specific. That one definitely looks like it's AWS specific, but it's tagged already, so actually that's fine. Close that one again. Oh, try to close it again.
The one about the credential provider is probably something we definitely want to talk about. I know it came up in problematic.
This one, 9292162? Yeah. Cool. Let's.
That one seems a little urgent, so maybe we need to, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, we don't necessarily need to. Let's go that way then. We can do this pre-triage. We'll just scan through them. Definitely this AWS credential provider causes 10 to 20 second hang up. Is definitely interesting. That one I think is well known and not AWS specific. kubectl output flooded, that seems fine, or like not critical. And then yeah. Ooh, that one looks nasty, so we'll open that one. But anyway, did you want to talk about this, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of context on it. I know that it came up in some Slack channels, but basically because the kubelet does more like a dynamic loading of the credential provider. So like, it doesn't matter what you set as a cloud provider or anything. It loads the credential provider based on if it sees, well, it loads it always, but then it doesn't enable it until it sees the AWS like certificate or credentials file on the system. And so like that could be nice in a way where like if you're pulling from ECR from like another cloud, like that could be useful. But because it does that, there are certain scenarios where like like it could freeze the kubelet from loading because it automatically tries to load the credential provider for ECR. That's as much as I know. But it sounds like if we're freezing the kubelet on startup for when you're not using ECR, that seems problematic.
Yes. So it looks like from this logs, it looks like it's in between 3 and 4 here, or oh yeah, in between 3 and 4 here. Sorry, I was like, what happened to 4? In between 3 and 4. So specifically on this, getting the credentials, which I assume is actually like polling the metadata service, I presume.
I think it. Well,
or
yeah,
trying to.
Yeah, I think it checks like the local keys first, and then it tries the metadata service if it doesn't. I don't know the exact details there.
Yes.
But like, why does it freeze the kubelet? Like, it should just. I mean, it should just asynchronously freeze up, right? Or it should asynchronously error when it tries to do that. I think maybe somewhere there's something we shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, it sounds like we might have changed it to like somehow be synchronous, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
possible. There was a big refactor of the credential provider in 1.16, so it's possible that changed. Yeah, that's the PR.
Okay.
So wait, do we know that if this is a regression or not? No one's okay.
I didn't dig into it to check, but it seems like it's a regression based on that big refactor we did. So I don't think it existed before the refactor we did there.
In terms of I haven't followed the cloud provider extraction effort here. What are we doing around extracting these?
Yeah, great question. So go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say, so like the providers themselves aren't changing much. It's just how they get called that's changing. So there's like it allows you to actually separate that code out, have a config file, which tells you which providers you have, which binaries you have locally. So unless we explicitly go and fix this, it would be the same.
Cool, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think someone just needs to take this and just figure out like why it's hanging up. Like, I don't think we need to figure out why the credentials don't work, because that's probably an environment specific problem, but someone should follow up and see like, okay, like if it's erroring there, does the kubelet code need to change, or does the provider code need to change so that it's not hanging up the entire kubelet? I think that's the thing we need to resolve first.
Yeah, I can just do some investigation and figure out where what's taking time. And then I'll comment that on the issue.
Well, I mean, yeah, presumably it's not even in this. It's that we want enabled to be called it asynchronously, right? It's not trivial because I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult. We almost only want to call it. We want to call it lazily, I guess, like only when we first see our first ECR image, which itself isn't an easy thing to nail, I guess.
But I thought it does that. Like, I thought that keyring does only call it if it sees the first image. So maybe enabled is a different code path, but
yeah. Okay, well, we can have a look at that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nick, you're gonna have a look, and I'll try to take a look as well. But yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. All right. Other than that, I did pull up this one. That looks just like a CSI potential issue rather than anything AWS specific, other than it mentions EFS as their particular problem. Okay. All right. Are there any other issues anyone wants to call out? Otherwise, we can just sort of go through like PRs and stuff in sort of the more normal order.
Okay, so there was one actually. I don't know how new or old it is, but I'm getting pinged a lot about like UDP support in the AWS NLB.
Yeah, we have a. Is this a PR? There's a PR, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I had pinged my coworker to take a look at this one. Is there any action on it?
There actually, I see there are actually two. There's this older one. Let's see. I presume we're actually talking about the newer one because I thought this one needed a rebase, for example, and some other stuff.
So the problem is that I guess like the provider code just is doing like it does a protocol check and it only allows TCP, and then we just have to allow both. Is that what's happening?
We have to allow both, and we have to make the map, some of the port maps, service aware. That was, if I recall correctly, this previous one, at least initially, but at least initially fell on that hurdle, I guess. This looks better in that it has the map by protocol.
Yeah. There's also a cap around like, so service type LB, you can't specify mixed protocol port list. So it has to be all TCP or all UDP. And there's a cap to allow both. So does NLB allow you to, I imagine it does, but just double checking, like does NLB allow you to set both? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it does.
The restriction that you mentioned, where does that restriction come from?
It's in the API server validation for service type load balancer. Yeah, it turns out it's much harder than we thought to just like remove that validation check. But yeah,
I'm surprised that's there. I thought Google's ones also. Oh, who knows? I guess Google's ones don't support it either. Then who knows?
Yeah.
All right. That's surprising. All right.
Yeah, it was surprising me. It was surprising too, but it's there.
Okay. So are you saying that even if we do this, there's still more to be done, or?
So if we merge this, it means that you can create an all UDP NLB, but you can't create a mixed NLB. That is API server stuff we have to do.
Got it. All right. I mean, this is certainly short enough. I can have a look at this, and Nick, it doesn't. See if anyone on your side has looked at this yesterday. Oh, it may have merged. Someone commented superseded by this one, which has merged. So maybe this is it the same person? Sorry, I will flick back. No, they are different people. So it looked like PJ Ryan submitted the first one, and this KISHORJ, I don't know where to put the line there. And he contributed, or PJ Ryan contributed to this one as well. So that's great. And this merged.
Okay, cool, great. Yeah, I missed that. Okay, sorry about that.
No worries. Let's see. Yeah, great. In fact, it was Micah. So Nick, if you asked Micah to look at it, Micah looked at it.
Yep, I did. Cool.
There we go. That's good news. Of course, now API Machinery is going to get all the weight, but yes, you can now just redirect them to API Machinery. And I will see whether we can close this previous one, because it looks like we probably can.
Yeah, and I think that's why, now that I think about it, I think this is why I might be getting like more pings about the removing the validation for the mixed protocol, because this PR merged, and so people want to use NLBs with both protocols, but then the API server is blocking that. So that explains it.
Yeah, I guess this means no one runs a DNS server on Kubernetes.
Yeah, that was pretty much the #1 use case for that, actually. Like they want to run a DNS server through NLB, and we're not allowing it.
Okay, well, live and learn. I did not know that. Okay, so that's good news. Should we have a look? I guess as we're coming to feature freeze, maybe we should look at other PRs that are like maybe ready to merge and would otherwise miss freeze. I'm just trying to find the. Oh, I guess we don't tag them for AWS. So let's do this. Pull requests sort recently updated. Anyone who's most does this make sense to look at these and see whether any of these are critical, as it were? Am I in the right repo? Okay. I don't know what this one is. Okay, I think this is just a, okay. I think that's just a test. So I can have a look at that. The new event API has nothing to do with us, I don't think. Empty file, PR triggering. AWS remove volume IOPS limit. I will open that one. We have the UDP, we have UDP. API
Can you just close the 2 UDP ones? Because
yeah, I mean, I'll open them and we can go through and say, like, are you happy to close type thing. That's nothing to do with AWS, I don't think. Support private IPs for AWS NLBs. That sounds like I mean, I guess it's just another annotation, but we'll see. Implement lifecycle TCP hook. I don't think that's us. External registry, cloud credential provider extraction. It sounds like we're less keen on that. Oh wait, Nick, what, this is you, Nick.
Yep, that's me. But I was actually just looking at the release schedule. Did the code freeze get pushed back?
It was pushed back from the original about a week ago, I think, or maybe 2 weeks ago. It was pushed back by 2 weeks, so it's now July 7th. Is that right?
July 9th. Yeah.
9th. Thank you.
So I didn't know that, but I was thinking that there was no way that I was going to be able to get this by the original date. Had I known that it had been pushed back, I might have reconsidered that. I still am skeptical. I'm finishing up some stuff that will probably take a little bit longer. So anyway, I don't know. Me and Andrew had talked about it, and we had said, like, you know, if either one of us has time to pick it up before code freeze, then we would. Otherwise, I'm going to definitely pick it up at the start of next cycle.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that almost feels like one that might be better to introduce earlier in the cycle rather than a late in the cycle thing.
Yeah, that's what I learned a lesson last time, that people get pretty angry when you drop that late in the cycle. So I don't really want to go through that again.
It's not really. I mean, it's more just like you know, you like the pressure is on to fix things faster, right? I hope no one actually gets angry. Yeah. Okay, we're on the second page now. It looks like they are not as. I opened a couple that might be relevant. Okay. So let us see if we can burn some of these down.
Oh, actually, can you also open up the IPv6 one?
Yes, if you give me a little bit more of a hint. Oh, is it the bottom here? Sorry. I can just search for IPv6.
Right there. Yeah, right.
Oh, there it is. See, got it. Thanks. Oh, speaking of things that we should not introduce at the last minute. Oh.
You know, I wasn't saying that we should merge this, but I think this is something that we should start noodling in our brains and thinking about. it's one of those things where like once you merge it and you release it, you're stuck with it, and maybe we don't want to. We want to really think about what we want the node address semantics to be for single stack v6 and dual stack.
Can you add? I don't know what his GitHub name is, but Gus Lees.
Is it Angus Lees? I think.
Angus, yeah.
I'm gonna CC him or assign him or.
You can assign him as well.
Interest to you. All right. Yeah. It sounds like what this is saying is if it's only IPv6 that's available, like to use that, that seems pretty reasonable. If that's what he's saying, or what R. Phillips is saying, Ryan, what R. Phillips is saying, then that seems reasonable. But yeah, we should certainly think about it because it then opens up the question of dual stack, right?
Yeah, like in particular, if you went v6 only to dual stack, like would this PR work? Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like we're not keen on merging this in this window.
I don't think so. I mean, it's not up to me, but
yeah,
it seems a little late.
Okay. This removing the volume IOPS limit. Okay. I like that idea. The idea is basically to like AWS raises the limit, and we shouldn't hard code a limit that AWS can raise. Particularly in, yeah, that seems reasonable. Yeah, I think we should probably merge this. What do people think? I mean, I'll have a look at like why we introduced them in the first place, but it doesn't seem like the sort of thing we should be enforcing. Maybe the minimum.
Yeah, I don't know the reasoning for having the limits in the first place. So.
Could just be the error message is clearer, but yeah. If there's no strong reason to do this, this seems like a solid thing to merge. This one we think we can hopefully dedupe or close. Private IPs for AWS NLBs. PR rights, but it specifies static private IP before addressing when creating a service back in AWS NLB. In addition to the existing support for Elastic IPs, but for internal NLBs, and it's a new annotation, which probably we could have all guessed. And it seems reasonable. Anyone think this is Karen? Sorry.
I read through the PR and I wasn't sure like how is this different than the PR like for 116 that added support for static IPs with the other annotation? Did I just like totally miss it?
It sounds like it has to go into a different field. Like maybe do you think it has to go into this field maybe? That's what I was sort of imagining was the sort of problem.
I'm not sure.
Okay. But you mean that we previously added a PR to map arbitrary Elastic IPs via a similar annotation, which I presume.
Yeah, it was in 116 for NLBs. I think it's 69.263 was the PR.
Nice.
Yeah,
I only know this because like I was waiting on 116 to use this feature, so that's the only reason I care.
I think those Elastic IPs are going into the allocation IDs field, not the private IP one, so it is different. I think.
Oh yeah, the allocations was right there too.
Is it this? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great question. Like I'm assuming that like you have to specify the one in the one field and the other in the other field, which is why this person did the PR. But we should at least verify that is true.
Got it.
Because it is possible that this person D.A. Cohen wrote.
Sorry. I like totally blanked on this. Sorry. No, I see why this is going on. I'm dumb.
Oh,
Never mind.
cool.
The EIPs are public. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
It's been a long week.
Yeah, I know that feeling. All right, I'll take a look at this. I think this one probably looks reasonable to maybe go in. It would be nice to have tests. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we can have a look and see. I'm also not sure if it gets reconciled correctly, so we'll have to have a look at that. Like if you change them, what happens? All right, let's keep going. Well, we talked about this one, Nick, right? You probably are not going to put it in now. I don't know if there's anything we want to discuss on this one. Looks like it's probably being discussed in the cloud provider extraction. Yeah.
I don't know, Andrew, anything you want to discuss or?
Yeah, no, it'd be good to get this in because I know it's an alpha feature and we have a feature gate to block it. So I think if the PR was ready to merge in the next week, I think it would be acceptable. But yeah, like I understand, like you and I both have other things internally to deal with, so we may not get to this, but I think we should try to do it if we can. So yeah, best effort. We'll do our best. If we don't, then whatever. We'll get to it in 120.
Yeah. Given that I now know that the deadline was pushed back, I will see if they're best effort. But we'll see.
There's a bunch of holidays in between, or like 4 of those days are holidays, or at least for Googlers. I don't know how many other people get, but yes, there's a big holiday that knocks out a bunch of those days, which might actually be an opportunity depending on how you feel about holidays. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, just take how many you get and divide by 2, and that's probably how many we get.
I'm not going to go there. Anyway, there are some days that may or may not be holidays. I was counting the weekend, by the way, in our particular Pinhead 4. But anyway,
okay, got it.
The next one on that I sort of pulled up on the hot list was fixing an extra security group removal from the AWS load balancers. I think we talked about this one before. I think I promised to have a look at it before, and I will endeavor to have a look at it again. It feels like this is a bug, and we should do that. This one I opened just because thought it was weird, but it looks like it's going to be GCE specific, so it's fine. I just didn't know that we had the same problem, like multiple interface IPs. I don't know. I'll leave that open for now, just for me to go back and look at. Okay. This is a PR to disable short routing path.
So this doesn't affect AWS because we don't set the load balancer IP in the status. We just set the host name, so the short path isn't actually enabled.
Ah, that's right. This person is OpenStack. Okay, or works on OpenStack. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Should we upgrade our AWS SDK? We probably should. This was May 27th, so I suspect we should probably do another update even after this.
Yeah, it's on 1.32 dot something now.
Yeah. Well, it's just the regions that I think is sort of the biggest challenge. It'd be nice to not have that dependency, but we're not going to fix it in this release. So
yeah, every once in a while I see like a PR to update the SDK because a new region is available. Is there any plans on AWS to support like a API to fetch the regions or zones or something like that?
There is. Go for Nick.
I was just gonna say, like, we have an internal API that's sort of like that, but I don't know of anything external.
There very much is a describe regions and a describe availability zones call on AWS. And you recently added describe instance. I don't remember the word, but like describe instance types. I know it's always awkward to know whether something's internal or external. So yes, that was recently added. So that's also there, which was also great. I think the problem might be around like which region do you query to find out the regions, which is a little bit of a mess. But we might be able to square that by like asking the metadata service what the region is and going from there. But I think the problem is like I don't think you can go from a region to the endpoint purely like if you don't know about the region, because some regions maybe don't follow the rules. That used to be the case in the AWS SDK. I don't know if that's still the case. What I mean, so like the EC2 endpoint is regional, and it isn't always the case that it is always just like ec2.region.amazonaws.com or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think usually it's just the IAD endpoint is different because that was the first region. But we can take a closer look and see. So if we could just have like one exception and then the rest all follow the rule.
Yeah. Anyway, so we can probably update this one. We can probably merge this one, and then I appreciate very much that this person has given us the script to do this in future. Because we may want to go to 132, but if someone has done the work to do this, then we should probably get this in. I'm not quite sure why we haven't got it in yet, but we'll take a look. Removing a stale load balancer for edge cases in AWS. When user changes from a classic load balancer to a network load balancer, yes, we don't delete one, yes. This is slightly risky, I guess. Yeah, that's a tough one. Because are you really, I see some shaking effects. Are we really sure that it is the right load balancer? It is a UUID generated load balancer, so it feels like it should be okay.
Don't do it.
Okay.
Why are you so skeptical, Andrew?
It just sounds like a bad idea. I mean, like we don't re-reconcile. Like if you delete a service, well, I guess we added finalizers to services, so we do catch the delete case. I don't know. It sounds like a bad idea. It sounds like there's just a lot of errors along the way that could happen, and you don't want to be accidentally deleting people's load balancers.
Yeah, it's tricky because from my first glance at this, at least, it looks like we just see that there are two load balancers with the right name, and then we delete the one which is the wrong one. And that strikes me as like, that would have been tolerated before, and now we're going to go deleting load balancers. So although it seems incredibly unlikely, it seems risky. The alternative might be to observe the delete event and do a sort of best effort deletion, or observe the change and do a best effort deletion at that time. But I don't know if that's better, because it just makes it like less likely to leak, but not impossible. And so like we're sort of giving people a false sense of security that like we're going to clean it up when we're not.
Yeah, and in general, we don't watch events for the load balancer in service. It's like a one-way reconcile, right? So like I don't think we should try to be smart about like reconciling the cloud state back into the service state. It should just be like service state to LB and keep it that way for now.
And I guess the workaround here would be to change your service from type. Oh, I see. The workaround would be to change your service from like type load balancer to type node port or something, and then go back and then switch. But I guess the point is, if you do it just by changing the annotation, maybe you don't have downtime. Maybe. Or you're guaranteed downtime by changing it to node port, whereas you're not guaranteed downtime in this regard.
I mean, if we do if you can get around it by doing that, if we're already deleting it, if you're deleting the service, then shouldn't we be trying to solve these edge cases?
No, I'm not saying we shouldn't have documentation to say create a new one and here are the steps to do it.
Yeah, that is true. You can always create a new service. I'm not saying we shouldn't try to fix them. I'm saying we should make sure that we don't really hurt people along the way.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if like we had load balancers with normal names, then this might not be a good idea, because you'd be creating load balancers with the same name over and over again, probably, and you could delete the wrong one.
Right.
Wasn't there a PR for that, or an issue?
There have been a lot of issues that proposed it. I don't think we've ever got close
Right.
because of
And for the same
Yeah.
reasons, right? Yeah.
like what happens when you change it.
And this is why I would like to work. I think it'd be great. And just throwing ideas up there. We should just cut a new version of the cloud provider and start from scratch and like just rebuild all these assumptions on a V2 provider that's out of tree. But topic for a different day.
That is indeed a topic for a different.
Yeah, I will second that idea, but yeah, we don't need to get into it now.
Okay, I'll look at this one as well. I mean, it seems like a very valid and important thing that if we could magically fix it, we should fix it. But if we have to make sure that it's worth the risk, as it were. I can't think of any way to surface this information other than, like, could we somehow like give people a hint? Like, it looks like you've done this. Would you like to do this? I mean, we could raise an event. I just don't know if people would actually see it. They're more likely to see an event than a log message, right? But like still.
I mean, they'll see the event once it's broken. But like if it's broken, then.
Yeah, I mean, I was suggesting that we wouldn't delete the old. We wouldn't automatically delete the wrong one. We would just say, hey, there's a dangling ELB, or I guess NLB. I guess it can go both ways, but there's a dangling ELB v1, and you might want to delete it once the traffic has flowed over, or whatever it is. All right. I suspect we'll not get that in before the feature freeze. How about that? This one we talked about earlier. Oh, I think we've actually probably gone back to my earlier tabs. All right, so this one again. This one was a test, which I think is probably a dupe. The hang up, which we talked about earlier, and the PR, which may or may not have introduced that, and a probably unrelated issue in CSI. Okay. Would anyone like in particular to, so I'll just flip through these. If anyone wants to, and then we'll call it time because it's more or less done. But like if anyone wants to like take ownership of any of these, I'm going to flip through them one more time, and please shout when not on mute and I will stop. So adding IPv6 addresses for node addresses, removing the volume IOPS limit. I can look at that one. Oh, presumably I should look at that one. Okay. That one is, we're just going to do a dupe detection. Like, is this okay to close? I can look at those too. This one, private IPs for AWS NLB. Not hearing a lot of voices here.
I mean, I'd be happy to.
It's fine. Don't worry. I don't want to pressure you.
Seems like a easy. Like if it's just a matter of it's the same as that EIP feature and it's supported and it's just an annotation that adds that. It seems like an easy merge.
Yeah. Well, when we can, let's. Nick, you are already on the ball for that one. This one, I think I was going to have a look at, or I am going to have a look at. I think maybe Nick, you were also going to have a look at it, but
yeah. This
one is just of interest to me. I will do this one. I don't think any of these people. I can have a look at that one, and we might need a 132 if there were new regions. Since May 27th, I can't, honestly, I don't know. I feel like there were some local, whatever. we can have a look. Removing the stale load balancer for edge cases in AWS is, I think we should probably have a look at it, but I don't think I think we're unlikely to get it in by then, but we should tell Jeff Wan why that is. Oh, Nick, it's a colleague of yours, I guess.
Yeah, I can. We can have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
I'll get him to come to the next meeting, actually.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I hope we've been fair to him, I guess, in that I think everyone would like it. We just have to make sure we're not going to hurt anyone. It does seem unlikely given the UID. And that's what is this? I can have a look at this. You are marked as a reviewer, Nick, but I can also have a look at this. And then Nick, were you gonna have a look at this, or was Jay gonna have a look at it?
Yeah, I'll have this one be my top priority. So if I
Cool.
do nothing but.
Yeah, that makes sense. There are too many Nicks. Look, they're not even on the top page of Nicks.
Oh.
You shouldn't have dropped the I. There are two Web 2.0. Okay, cool. That's it. All right. I don't know if anyone else has any other topics they want to bring up or discuss. I don't have the agenda open right now, so I don't know if anyone else has that anything. But otherwise, let me stop sharing. Otherwise, thank you very much to everybody, and we will see everyone in 2 weeks. Yeah, it is not a holiday, so yes. Happy Friday. Thank you.